The following is an interview with Alice Swann. The interview is titled, "The Puppets of Concord Park." The date of the interview is unknown. However, it is believed to be in early 2014.
Should I begin now? I grew up in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. And of course, it was below the Mason-Dixon line, and there was some prejudice there. So people lived in the areas where they were accepted. My husband went to Howard University, and he studied architecture. When he graduated, he knew that he was not going to get any employment as an architect in Washington, D.C. They didn't accept black architects. We decided that we would then relocate from Washington to Philadelphia. And that's what got us into the area. We were living in an apartment when we were told by some friends of ours about this integrated housing. Levittown was being built, and Mr. Levitt was mainly focusing on veterans coming back from World War II. But he wasn't thinking about black veterans. Morris Milgram, who happened to be a Quaker, decided that that wasn't fair. And he decided that he would build houses for anybody, not just blacks, not just whites, anybody. And he built 300, I don't know the exact number, 300 houses, and people were clamoring to get in. Not just blacks, but because of the nature of the community and what it stood for, many people were trying to claim a piece.
What's your impression of Mr. Milgram?
He was a kind of laid back. He wasn't. He was just a quiet person who did what he did. He was not an extrovert type person. He had a mission, and he followed through on his mission. One of the other projects that the community took on was to have their own kindergarten, not just for Concord Park children, but the kindergartens were not in Bensalem schools at that time, and people who would like their children to go to kindergarten had no place to send them. So the people in Concord Park decided that they would start their own kindergarten. But they also decided that it wouldn't be limited to Concord Park children. And so with lots of advertising, etc., our kindergarten was established, and I became the first teacher. A lady moved in, someone moved out, and 2 doors from me, and a lady moved in, a family moved in, Nancy Schamle. And we got acquainted. She came down to see if she could get her daughter enrolled in kindergarten. With Nancy and I we were in charge of the summer program, and we were in charge of setting up the various activities that the children would be doing. And that worked out fine. So at the end of that summer, 1961, at the end of that summer, Woman's Day magazine had an article. Woman's Day is still published. It had an article that was called The Magic Onion. It was Bill Baird's own creation. So Nancy came to my window, which she often did because I was always at the kitchen window. She came and she said, "Let's do this." And I said, "You're out of your mind." And she said, "No, look, it's a puppet show." And I said, "I can do that." And she said, "No, look, we could send for the instructions, and we can make puppets, and we can put on a show." And I said, are you talking about? So she showed me the magazine, and I was hooked. We sent for more directions for making puppets, and we even asked people in the community if they would like to be a part of this. Several of the people said, yeah, we can do this. So we got it all together with very little rehearsal. And in order to put on the show, we needed a stage. Nancy just happened to be walking around and saw a refrigerator carton that someone had discarded because they had just gotten a new refrigerator. And she was so excited. Guess what we've got? We've got a stage. We can do the puppet show over this refrigerator carton. And I said, as I have said many times, you're out of your mind. The neighbors came. They brought chairs, they brought pillows and blankets, and they sat on them on the ground, and they saw our first show. Now, I don't know what they heard because we didn't have any amplification and we were outside. But we did it, and they were so excited about our having done this puppet show that they said, you know, you can't just do this once, you need to do it again. So Nancy, you know that you are a large part. In fact, you started it, and so you are a large part of this. And if it weren't for what you did that day with the magazine, neither one of us would be in this position talking about puppetry.